Welcome to Think Outside the Box. Do you use food as comfort or stress relief? Using these guidelines, you'll be able to cut back on emotional eating, win the battle against cravings, pinpoint the causes of your binges, and replace them with healthier coping strategies. How does emotional eating work? We don't always eat because we need to fill our stomachs. Many of us also eat to feel better, get rid of stress, or treat ourselves. And when we do, we tend to eat junk food, sweets, and other unhealthy foods that make us feel better. If you're feeling down, you might grab a half-gallon of ice cream. Order a pizza if you're bored or lonely, or stop by the drive-thru after a hard day at work. Emotional eating is when you eat to feel better or to meet your emotional needs instead of your physical ones. Unfortunately, eating when you're upset doesn't solve your problems. Most of the time, it makes you feel worse. After that, not only do you still feel bad about the original problem, but you also feel bad about overeating. Ask yourself these questions: do you eat when you're upset? When you're stressed out, do you eat more? Do you eat when you are hungry or when you are full? Are you a person who eats to make yourself feel better when you are sad, mad, bored, anxious, etc.? Do you give yourself food as a reward? Do you often eat until you're too full to move? Is food a source of safety for you? Do you consider food to be a friend? Do you feel like you have no control over food? The cycle of eating when upset. It's not always a bad thing to use food as a pick-me-up, a reward, or a way to celebrate. But when eating is your main way to deal with your feelings, when your first thought when you're stressed, upset, angry, lonely, tired, or bored is to open the fridge, you get stuck in an unhealthy cycle where you never deal with the real feeling or problem. Emotional hunger can't be satisfied through food. Even though eating makes you feel good at the moment, the feelings that made you want to eat still exist. You often feel worse after eating calories you didn't need. Whenever you make mistakes or fail to be more determined, you get angry with yourself. You stop learning healthier ways to deal with your feelings, your weight gets harder and harder to control, and both your food and your feelings seem to be out of your control. But even if you feel like you have no control over what you eat or how you feel, you can still make a change for the better. You can learn better ways to deal with your feelings, avoid triggers, beat cravings, and stop emotional eating for good. What makes emotional hunger different from physical hunger? Firstly, to overcome emotional eating, you need to know the difference between physical hunger and emotional hunger. This is harder than it sounds, especially if you often eat to deal with how you feel. It's easy to mistake emotional hunger for physical hunger because it can be so strong. But there are ways to tell the difference between physical hunger and emotional hunger. Suddenly, you feel hungry inside. It hits you all at once and makes you feel rushed and overwhelmed. On the other hand, physical hunger comes on more slowly. Unless you haven't eaten in a long time, the urge to eat doesn't feel as strong or need to be satisfied right away. When you're emotionally hungry, you want certain comfort foods. When you're hungry, almost everything sounds good, even healthy things like vegetables. But emotional hunger makes you want quick energy foods like junk food or sweet snacks. You want cheesecake or pizza more than anything else. Emotional hunger often makes people eat without thinking. You can easily consume an entire pack of chips or a quart of ice cream in one sitting if you aren't paying attention. Most people are more aware of what they are doing when they eat because they are physically hungry. When you're full, your emotional hunger doesn't go away. You want more and more, and you often eat until you're too full to move. However, the need to satisfy physical hunger is optional. Once you've eaten enough, you'll feel content. The stomach is not the place where emotional hunger is felt. You don't have a growling stomach or a pain in your stomach. Instead, you have a strong desire to eat that won't go away. You're paying attention to how things feel, taste, and smell. When you are emotionally hungry, you often feel regret, guilt, or shame. When you eat to stop being hungry, you probably won't feel bad or guilty because you're just giving your body what it needs. If you feel bad after eating, it's probably because you know deep down that you're not eating because you need to get nutrients. Find out what makes you eat when you're upset. The first step in stopping emotional eating is figuring out what makes you do it. What kinds of situations, places, or feelings make you want to eat? Most emotional eating is caused by bad feelings, but it can also be caused by good feelings, like when you give yourself a treat for reaching a goal or eat a lot to celebrate a holiday or something happy. Reasons why people eat when they're upset. Stress. Have you ever noticed that stress can make you hungry? You're not making it up. When stress lasts for a long time, which it does a lot in our busy, chaotic world, your body makes a lot of the stress hormone cortisol. Cortisol makes you want salty, sweet, and fried foods, which give you a quick boost of pleasure and energy. The more unmanaged stress you have in your life, the more likely you are to comfort yourself with food. Keeping feelings down. Eating can be a way to temporarily stop feeling things like anger, fear, sadness, anxiety, loneliness, resentment, and shame. You can avoid feeling the hard feelings you'd rather not feel while you're distracting yourself with food. Feelings of being bored or empty. Do you ever eat just to have something to do, to avoid being bored, or to fill a void in your life? You feel empty and unfulfilled, and food fills your mouth and your time. In the moment, it makes you feel good and takes your mind off the fact that you feel empty and unhappy with your life. What we did as kids. Think back to your childhood memories of food. Did your parents give you ice cream for being good, take you out for pizza when you got a good grade, or give you sweets when you were sad? These are habits that kids often keep as adults. Or, you may eat because it brings back good memories, like grilling burgers with your dad in the backyard or making and eating cookies with your mom. Social influences. Having a meal with other people is a great way to relieve stress, but it can also cause you to eat too much. Because the food is there and everyone else is eating, it's easy to eat too much. You might also eat too much when you're nervous around other people. Or, maybe your family or friends tell you to eat too much, and it's easier to go along with the crowd. Find other ways to feed your feelings. You won't be able to control your eating habits for very long if you don't know how to deal with your feelings without food. So many diets fail because they give sensible nutritional advice that only works if you pay attention to what you eat. It doesn't work when feelings take over the process and demand a quick reward with food. To stop eating when you're upset, you need to find other ways to make yourself feel better. It's not enough to know the cycle of emotional eating or even your triggers, though that's a big step in the right direction. You need things you can do besides food to fill your emotional needs. Alternatives to eating when you're upset. If you're sad or lonely, call someone who always makes you feel better, play with your dog or cat, or look at a favorite photo or something you treasure. If you're feeling anxious, use up your nervous energy by dancing to your favorite song, squeezing a stress ball, or going for a fast walk. If you're tired, make yourself a hot cup of tea, take a bath, light some scented candles, or wrap yourself in a warm blanket. If you're bored, pick up a good book, watch a funny show, go outside, or do something you like, woodworking, playing the guitar, shooting hoops, scrapbooking, etc. When you want something, take a break and check in with yourself. Most emotional eaters feel like they have no control over their urges to eat. When you're hungry, all you can think about is food. You feel a tension that is almost too much to bear and needs to be fed right now. You think your willpower isn't strong enough because you've tried to resist before and failed. But, you have more control over your cravings than you think. Before giving in to a craving, take 5. Emotional eating is often done automatically and without much thought. You reach for a tub of ice cream and eat half of it before you even realize what you're doing. But if you can stop and think when you have a craving, you can make a different choice. Can you wait for 5 minutes before you eat? Or start with just 1 minute? Don't tell yourself you can't give in to the urge. Remember that something that is forbidden is very tempting. Tell yourself to be patient. While you wait, take a look at yourself. What do you think? What's going on in your heart? Even if you do end up eating, you will understand why you did it better. This can set you up to respond differently the next time. Learn to accept all of your feelings, good and bad. It may seem like the problem is that you can't control what you eat, but the real problem is that you can't control how you feel. You don't think you can face your feelings head on, so you eat to avoid them. It can be scary to let yourself feel things that make you feel bad. You might worry that once you open the door, you won't be able to close it again, like Pandora's box. But the truth is that even the most painful and difficult feelings fade away quickly and lose their power over us when we don't obsess over them or try to hide them. To do this, you need to be aware and learn how to stay in touch with your emotions from moment to moment. This can help you control your stress and fix the emotional problems that often make you eat when you're upset. The free Emotional Intelligence Toolkit from Help Guide can teach you how. Enjoy your food without overeating by savoring it. When you eat to make yourself feel better, you tend to eat quickly and without much thought. You eat so quickly that you don't get to enjoy the different tastes and textures of your food. You also miss your body's signals that it's full and you're no longer hungry. But if you take your time and enjoy each bite, you'll not only enjoy your food more, but you'll also be less likely to eat too much.